All right, so now let's say we've modeled our first model, our TV or anything else we've created, and you want to use one of the existing models, which is totally fine and will save you some time. We need to bring all these things together. So, what I need to do is bring in one of the models that I have for you. Where do you find that? Well, inside of Canvas, you're going to see inside of this, inside of your uh, class, there's a files link. And when we click here, is a whole bunch of files that I have set up for you. The Maya files, well, let's just kind of run through. We have documents and tutorials, which are lots of written stuff, shortcuts, all sorts of things of that name. Stuff for animation, the 12 principles, and some different things in here that will be very useful later on. We also have muscle examples for if you're going to be doing digital sculpting for those in Art 86 who'll be using Mudbox. And we have Maya files like the Andy folder and stuff like that. But you'll notice I have a few Maya files, the LMC house start and the small room start. So we have a couple of, this one is a bigger area with a roof that's kind of raised up. Let's just do something simple. So let's say I want to use the small room start, which you could make a bedroom, you could make an office, a den. If you modify it, you can even make it a game room or any sort of room that you want to make. It's just a simple room with windows and a door, and you can go from there. So I need this file. So I'm going to click on it, and I want to download this and put it into my scenes folder of my project. So when it goes, where do you want to save this? You do a save as. And I want to navigate to where that new project is. Now yours may be in a different place. It could be under Maya Documents if you're in Windows, inside of the Maya folder. Mine is a little bit, I have mine going through OneDrive so that I always have a backup of it. So instead of, I have this shortcut here, it would be under Documents, you'd find Maya, Projects, and then here's my project. You see I have a whole bunch of other ones for different projects and schools. So I'm going to go inside of the project I just made. I'm going to find the Scenes folder, and here it is here. And I'm just going to save it. Now I'll go back into Maya. And with a blank Maya scene, I'm just going to go File, Open. There is that room I just brought in. And I'm going to open that up. Don't save. And continue. Here's my room, and you notice it changed some configurations. And you're like, wait, what's all this? Don't worry about it. We'll get into this. Put your cursor over the room and just tap the space bar. And now Alt left mouse, here's my room. These are going to be my windows. A recessed area where I could put a TV or whatever, more doors. And off to the side, I also have a door that actually it's fake. So I can just, let me just grab these. Mesh, combine. So see, it's just a little door stuck there because it's not actually open. And I even have an area up here where I can light it. We're going to do something different unless you're in Art 86 and you're going to do lighting. We're going to render this really easily. And so that's bringing in this room. And then, well, I've modeled out some models, so how would I bring them into here? And I didn't do them to scale, so they might be off. This room, don't shrink it or adjust it. It's actually to real world scale. The stuff you modeled might be very tiny. So what I want to do is I want to import in that file. So wherever I brought that in from, I'm going to go File, Import, and let's go to, say, Maya Scenes, and we're going to bring it in. I copied it into the Scenes folder. There's the TVs that I modeled. And continue. So it's File, Import, select the file. And there they are, and we can see they look good, except, man, they're so dinky. They're really tiny. So I have one combined, I have one separated. So to get these the size that I want, I'm going to combine them. We'll do this again. You select one part, shift select the other part, and go to Mesh, Combine, and now they're all together. And now, so when I move this and scale it, remember, scale it from the center, not from these, because then we're going to warp it if we do it that way. So I want to scale it from the center. Now I can get this the size that I need it. But it's still hard for me to get a reference of how big it should be. So for that, I'm going to pull in a scale reference. We're going to go to Sculpting, this little tab here. Click on the orange icon. Well, they're all orange, but the little box. And that should pull up my content browser. Click on bipeds and choose human body. You choose any of the other ones, they may be a little weird, and they also are anatomically correct, so I don't want you to be surprised and bashful. So, human body, drag it in, and then we can close this. And now I have a scale reference to see how big, this actually would be. And I scale it accordingly so that it makes sense to whatever person. And this is just doing this again because these scale references are good to have. So I can see how big a door is, how big a table is, all that stuff. So that's how I would import in the existing files, and this is how I'd bring in or open up my room, and then I can just start scaling and populating it and modeling things to it. It's a good idea to actually model things outside of the room and then import them in. But when you're doing it, into those separate files, you can always bring in the scale reference and scale it before you bring it into here. And if you have any questions on that, just let me know. I've got this down, so now I could do a file, save scene as, and I would just call this one, instead of rewriting the same one over and over, I'll just call it Thai Room VER 1, version 1. And then as I keep going, I will save multiple versions, and you'll notice that went into my scenes folder. So this is how you would bring in a room and then just start populating it. You could build curtains, you could do, couches, which will go over beds, anything that you want. All right, so now let's go to the next video, which is if I wanted to build my own room.